Hello and welcome to episode number 68 of the Solo Gamer Podcast. My name is Ian. The 9 of you that listen every week already know that. And I am joined by our erudite, learned scholars of video games, Taylor and Kyle. What's up? Welcome in. Taylor, you're back from Detroit.
Yeah.
Sounds like it was a good time. You had a good week.
Yeah, no, it was a great time. We were talking a little bit before we got on the show that it was one of those little trips or vacations that kind of felt longer and more satisfying than I think I would have initially anticipated. We were only there for, I think, about 4 days. But honestly, it felt like a really good, relaxing time where I feel like I got to really hit the reset button a little bit. I mean, like we've talked about lately, like my days have just been kind of dragging and kind of tired and monotonous. So it felt good to get a little bit of a reset, be in a different place where I don't know the surroundings and it's completely new to me. So it was a great time. We had a lot of fun.
Wait,
so
great, man.
so you had a good time and it felt like it lasted a while, dude?
It did. Yeah.
I mean, those never line up for me.
I know. It was kind of one of those things where, well, like I was kind of saying earlier too, like I maybe could have used like one more day. Like felt like it would have been nice, but honestly, the time that we had was really, really good. Didn't get to do everything I wanted there, so I think me and my girlfriend are going to try and go back maybe several times a year. One of my best friends lives out there, and I didn't get a chance to hang out with him, unfortunately. But hopefully, we've got some more stuff lined up to do next time. So and she's got family out there as well too. So there's a lot of reason to go back out. So I'm already excited to go back. So
I feel as though one of your best skills, Taylor, is being present, and I think that's why you are able to enjoy a vacation in that way. Is because like you weren't considering going back to work or thinking about this or that, what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
You're just good at like being in the moment, and I think it's why everyone always enjoys having you over and enjoys your company, because it's like, man, this guy just helps me chill. He's so grounded all the time. So I think you've got a skill there, man. Not a lot of people possess that ability.
Definitely not me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks, man. I just love having a chill, good time. So yeah, I think being in the moment's fun. I relish in it.
What I want to hear about is the food, man. You try anything awesome out there?
Dude, yeah, I had a coney dog from Waterford Coney Grill.
Ooh.
So we got this big chili dog with like ground beef on it and coney sauce, and I added some mustard on there as well with some onions, and it was delicious, man. Just like a hole in the wall, little like Coney Island grill out in the middle of nowhere, Michigan, and it was so good.
Yeah,
Sounds
it's such
perfect.
a funny thing. The Coney, it's like they're so far from Coney Island in New York. Like, what?
I know.
How did that become a thing?
Yeah, maybe I'm getting them mixed up. I don't know.
I thought that was a thing where like they call them that. It's like people from New York moved to Detroit or whatever, and like kept the traditional. They just kept calling.
That happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe so, but it was really good. I gotta say, and
yeah, man.
The taste and consistency is not too different from like a chili dog, but the coney sauce itself is made from, I guess, like beef hearts or something, I was told.
Damn.
So it's almost like a chili
Most Midwest
sauce.
thing I've ever heard in my life.
Made from
Dude,
the
isn't
heart
it?
of a cow.
Moo. It was really good though. I loved it.
That's
honestly,
awesome, man.
You get a hot dog in front of me, I'll tear it up live every time. So
Right.
It doesn't
Yeah, I
matter
mean-
what kind it is.
A mid dog is still a dog, man.
Right.
It is. It's true. I mean, how much? Yeah. Once you get into the world of sausages and stuff, it's a different story. But like, as far as hot dogs go, it's like, yeah, they're all hot dogs, and they're all good.
That's why you mentioned that, man. There's very few feelings that are better than finding that like hole in the wall place that actually kind of slaps. Like,
It's the best. It's
Yeah,
the best.
and Michigan and Detroit in general was just chock full of them too. We went to a couple different cities and had really good food and drink like pretty much every night. So I've got some other places on the docket I want to try. Like one of the things I didn't get to try when we were there that I was kind of curious about was I guess there's three kinds of pizza that you can find in the United States. There's New York, right, which is your big New York slices that you fold and you eat while walking down the street
Yeah.
in Times Square. You got the deep dish Chicago pizza, right, which is like the pizza pie where the sauce is over the top, cheese is underneath it, and it's almost like you're getting a slice of pie out. But then I guess Detroit is the originating place of the tavern style pizza.
Yeah.
Which I learned very recently is like that's their claim to fame as far as pizza.
Well, it's funny. It's so because Detroit also has unless this is the same thing, is when you were there, is it because when I think of tavern style pizza, I think of Chicago and I think of thin crust cut like into squares, and then there's like is that what they call in Detroit? Is it the dish baked where there is no crust and it's
I don't know. Crust? It's like usually what I've seen of tavern pizza, yes, it is kind of more of like it's almost like you had a traditional like styled pizza, but just cut it into a bunch of different squares. So there's like pieces where like you'll have a little like sliver of crust with like a little bit of cheese and sauce on it, and then you get those slices in the middle that are just all cheese. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, but apparently that's their like claim to fame is like they have the big tavern style pizzas that are like cover like a whole table, you know, and they cut it into those big slices. So I didn't get to have any of that, but
gotta try that next time, man.
Yeah, it's on the list for sure.
Hell yeah. Kyle, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you for inviting me again.
Yeah, like this is like
thank you for having me back.
This is some kind of week to week trial.
Every week they keep saying, "Hey, we're still not sure yet, but we'll let you know next week."
We'll let you know.
We'll sign you back on for another one. Why not?
Sign a new temp contract every Tuesday night.
Oh
the
man,
contract is fulfilled.
They keep putting the franchise tag on me. What can I do?
Right,
nothing, man. I would. More teams need to use that, honestly.
Yeah, it doesn't really happen anymore. That's a side story, but
it's so strange. Yeah. I know. We promised everyone we'd be back to regularly scheduled programming.
I know.
So
Don't let me.
No football talk. We could just get lost.
That subject alone, I was ready to go, and I was like, "Wait, we're talking about something else. Let's go."
I know, dude. We need a sister podcast. I've always wanted to do an NFL podcast called the Not for Long podcast.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
And just do like a weekly review show.
Don't anybody steal that.
Yeah.
I know. I put it out there.
Especially you, Cream Lord.
Yeah.
I'll get you.
Oh, we'll hear from the Lord of the Cream.
Lord of the Cream.
So yeah, man, not much going on. Obviously hitting the gym a lot, but this last weekend I actually played a lot of KCD2 again. Progressed a little bit further in the story, and then like as soon as I did like what was essentially like one small chapter, all of a sudden I got like a ton more side quests, and so I'm like distracted again to doing that. But they're great. I mean, I mentioned to you before that I found yet another side quest that like really hit home with me. It was really cool, and had I have not gone back to this specific area on the map to go talk to this person who's the what do they call it, the gamekeeper, basically. If I had not gone back to talk to him after doing the side quest with him, I never would have had that little extra side talk. And it doesn't really prompt you to do that. I just went back and was like in the area and decided to go talk to him. And then he started talking to me about, what's happened since we did that side quest. But it wasn't like something where like I had to go do that in order to finish the side quest. I would have never have noticed that if I never went back to go talk to him. And it's just a tiny little detail where it's like, it was really cool to have that interaction and to reflect on what we had done together, and to see how it's changed this character's life. I was really impressed by that. So it's, I keep running into these like side quests that I'm absolutely falling in love with, and they had no business making those side quests that great. there's no reason for them to do it at all. And it's something that I really appreciate. You can definitely tell that Warhorse Studios, they really cared about all of that, every little finite detail. So if you can't tell, this game is definitely far and above my game of the year right now.
Nice.
There's just so much detail in the characters, in the world, in the entire experience, how it works around you, how the characters interact with you and feel actually like real. It's really impressive. It's one of the best games I've played in a while.
Man, I can't wait. I'm very excited to play that.
I know. Every time you talk about it, I'm like, man, I gotta get to that.
Yeah.
This sounds so good.
But yeah, man, that's pretty much it. Staying consistent at the gym. I hate hearing you talk about pizza, Taylor, because I can't remember the last time I had a slice of pizza, dude. But I'll be back,
it's
don't
tough.
worry.
Tough to balance, man.
Yeah.
Doing
So that's it, man. What have you been up to?
I've been playing a shit ton of games. Actually,
I see that.
Well, because I finished BioShock
Nice.
like a week ago, and then I finished Mafia yesterday. So I'm in this spot now where I don't really know what I want to play. I'm leaving on a vacation for basically like a whole week, and that's happening in about a week from now. So it's like, that you don't really want to get overly invested in something and then just kind of have to
Drop it.
just kind of drop it, and then you got to come back and be like, where that classic Gandalf meme of opening an
I have
old
no
save.
memory of
and
this
I have no
place.
memory of this place. So I'm trying not to do that too much. So what I'm doing instead is kind of like, there's been a lot of games I've been kind of wanting to play or try. So I'll just jump into a few of them and just get a quick feel for some stuff just to see what might grab my attention, and then really come back and jump into it after I return. But yeah, finish Mafia. Not really any difference of opinion. The only reason to play that game is for the next cutscene, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mid. It's like a mid to mid plus game. If you're intrigued by the story and setting, like I said last time, pick it up on a sale. I don't think you'd be disappointed, but nothing really that special. Which has kind of always been the case with Mafia, but for some reason, this one didn't hit quite as hard, which is too bad because I was most intrigued by the more historical setting, the older setting in Sicily. It just felt like they didn't really do anything unique with that setting, and the story was pretty obvious where it was going. And some of the character decisions at the end are not great. And I just it's like, there's been stronger Mafia games, but I would still think if you're interested in playing, it's a decent intro to the series. Very pretty. So, if you're interested, check it out. I wouldn't pay full price for it though. Jumped into Dragon Age Veilguard.
Interested to hear what you have to say about this one.
Yeah. I for me, it's too important of a franchise and a developer to me to not play it. I'm not going in expecting to enjoy it or like to love it, and I know what a lot of the problems are from critics that I trust. But it still just feels wrong to not play it to me. Yeah. It's like, this is a Dragon Age game. It's a BioWare game. I've played pretty much all of their games since Knights of the Republic, and good and bad, and everything in between. So I just want to form my own opinion about it. I already waited. It's on Game Pass. It's zero risk at this point.
Yeah. That might be the selling point for me too.
Yeah, I just want to jump in, and I'm actually looking forward to playing it because my bar has been set so low that I feel like it's either going to meet those expectations or it's going to exceed them. It can't really do worse. And I'm only I don't know, 90 minutes, 2 hours maximum in. That's kind of the case for just about everything on my list that I played, except for one thing. It's very mixed. It's beautiful. It doesn't really look or feel or sound like a Dragon Age game, other than the fact that there are some returning characters. Excuse me. There's some returning characters with the same voice actors, and I am very fond of those characters. So that immediately for me was easier to get invested in, because it's like, well, despite some of the problems I'm already seeing, at least Varric is in this and Solus is in this, and I got to recreate my Inquisitor, who is one of my favorite created characters I've ever made. My Inquisitor from Dragon Age Inquisition. I think the voice actress for her is absolutely stellar, and the character arc that I just kind of happened to go along in Inquisition is one of my favorite BioWare experiences, even though I don't think that's one of BioWare's best games by any stretch. Just the actual character itself, it just felt like they did a really good job of letting you inhabit that character with Inquisition. You had a lot of power and influence and choice and consequence, and the way things work together, especially some to the specificity of the race and gender and everything that I played as, opened up some story moments that are really, really memorable for me from Inquisition. So I wanted to make her again. So I spent a long time in the character creator making her as close as I could get her to the, to the Inquisition. So that was fun. Outside of the fact that the art style is not very Dragon Age, which is obviously disappointing, very beautiful game. The hair physics, everything looks kind of dreamy, and the hair's all flowy, and there's it's as if the lens has just been smudged ever so slightly with some oil or butter or something. Like everything has this like fuzzy
like
kind of
gloss?
glow, and it kind of, but it
like a pastel.
it feels it's like a cinematographer's choice. It's not distracting. It's just very clearly, it almost looks a little bit like an animated movie.
Yeah.
Computer animated movie, like a Pixar Dragon Age or something like that. Which is a choice. It doesn't look bad objectively. If it wasn't called Dragon Age, I'm like, this is a kind of a unique style for this game. I would actually be interested in playing a little bit more of it. But the fact that it is Dragon Age, it feels so disconnected from the previous games so far. The voice acting is very up and down. I made a male character. The voice actor's really good so far for the character that you create for a male.
It's awesome.
Very, very good. I'm very much I'm making kind of a serious character. I feel like I try to do something. Oh, sorry, I hit my mic stand. I try to do something a little different in every BioWare game, just to have a slightly different experience. So whether it's a different class, and then maybe with Mass Effect, I prefer Paragon. And then in Dragon Age 2, I really liked all the sarcastic choices. The sarcastic Ethan Hawke is just the best. Or Ethan Hawke, sorry, that's an actor. The Hawk for Dragon Age 2, the sarcastic guy's great. So it's like all these different. So I'm kind of making a serious character. Great voice acting, but a lot of shit voice acting as well, all around.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So it's extremely mixed bag. There are times where it's so bad it feels like, Kyle, when we were watching football and we keep seeing these ads for all these horrible cable TV shows.
Yeah.
There's some of that in here.
You mean Fire Country.
Fire Country. Just the worst, most over dramatized. You're so clearly reading this off of a page, just so bad. And then it'll go back to somebody else who's Varric or whatever, who's obviously a phenomenal voice actor. He's been doing it for multiple games. So it just feels kind of bumpy the whole time. I was like, I kind of love and hate everything about this.
Right.
The combat, it's like too actiony. There's not enough of the role playing in there, right? At least so far. Very action heavy. Doesn't feel that great to play yet. We'll see. Looks very pretty. Animations are great. So it's just extremely mixed bag. It's like eating those jelly beans that are normal jelly bean flavors plus disgusting flavors.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the experience has been like so far. It's
Damn.
You'll get a dog food jelly bean. You're this is so bad. And then the next few are just normal, and you're like, oh, it's fine, it's good. So that's how I feel about it so far. In my
Except for
limited
there's
time.
a lot of dog food jelly beans in there apparently.
So far, yeah, there's a good amount of booger and dog food flavored ones mixed in.
Is this something you could maybe see sticking through to the end just to see it through, or is it kind of a thing where you're thinking about putting it down?
I'm too early on to say for sure, but I'm going to keep. I'm about 2 hours in, and there's just enough there towards. I'm just invested enough already in the story of Solus, and I want to see my Inquisitor. And once that happens, some of the story idea is actually really good too. Who the main villains are, what happens. It's directly connected with Inquisition. So if you liked the story of Inquisition, what's going on here, at least conceptually, is very interesting. So I want to keep going. But if it just keeps being, if it's just one awful voice actor after another, eventually that will beat me into submission and I'll quit.
Yeah.
Also,
It'll
the
wear you down
gameplay
after too long.
From the reviews, I feel like it definitely reaches a peak, and there's a lot of
repetition.
There's a lot of repetition, and I'm curious to see like if you do hang it up and like when that would happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of curious to hear what your experience is like with that. I do think
messing with it.
I think keeping Solus around was like one of the only great decisions that they made, because I think Solus is such a unique and great character.
No, yeah. Absolutely. So. The game was originally named after him. Spoiler, by the way, for the 2009 Game of the Year.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever it was. No, it wasn't 2009. It was like 2014, I think. I was exaggerating the first time. I think it was 2014 Game of the Year, Dragon Age Inquisition. Spoilers. Because this game was originally named Dreadwolf, and it was all about Solus.
That.
Yeah.
And then they changed it to the Veilguard, and I don't know,
wasn't it one of those games that made the switch to a live service game, and then they reversed course after they saw Avengers and Suicide Squad and all that? They tried to reverse course back to a single player game.
That's exactly correct, and you can tell.
And what's crazy to me is, Inquisition clearly teased them up. It really teased it up to like, okay, now we're gonna experience, Solus's story a little bit more,
And that's still what's happening. I'll give them credit. They definitely did not drop that thread. In fact, it is immediately picked up when you start the game, which I appreciated.
That's good.
And Solus is in the game in the first 15 minutes.
Isn't it
a big way?
Isn't it wild to think that the company who made the massive mistake of releasing something like Anthem, that they just weren't like, that team was not meant to create that game, and then they went and made the same mistake again and tried to reverse course way too late. The ship was already heading for the iceberg, and at the last minute they tried to spin the wheel the other way. Like, I mean,
yeah, I think those decisions must have been made around the same time, because they have they have their Edmonton team and their Austin team. And so I think it seems like the whole company took a step toward wanting to make multiplayer games. So the Dragon Age team started making this multiplayer live service game, and the other team started making Anthem. They just, and obviously
the entire industry,
man.
The entire industry shifted to that. Really, I think we're now kind of finally getting on the other end of it, where these companies are realizing that's not the route to take.
What I appreciate about that, and you're so right, Kyle, is that I have bought more AA games in the last year or two than I have in so many years. And I'm just enjoying them. I bought Chronos. I haven't played it yet. I tried to start it once, and I was like, I'm not going to have time, and I don't want to see this. I just turned it off. So I'm very, very excited, but I think I'm just going to completely hold off on that until I get back from Hawaii.
Ian put a toe in the water and was like, not yet.
I was like, I want this too bad. Like, I can't put this down for a week. I just, I'm just,
honey, can we postpone the trip?
Yeah, right. Hell no, I'm not postponing shit. Chronos can wait. It's waited long. It's waited this long. You can wait another week or two. So yeah, looking forward to that. Sorry, I'm like dominating this because I have a bunch of new games. So I'll try and these last two will be very quick. Outer Worlds. I started the Outer Worlds again. So
Nice.
the reason for this one is because I like to have a game going that is slightly older, as in just the last generation or older. Because I have a Series S in my bedroom, and I like to, like on Friday nights or nights where I'm not going to the gym the next day, I will go to bed and play games there. And I like to have something that is not going to challenge the S and make it realize how limited it is. I don't want to play a new game that's just completely been chopped off at the knees, technically,
Right.
to play it on the S. The S is just a great little backlog machine. So I was just like, well, I've got Outer Worlds. That was from last generation. Let's just play it. And I just kind of want to lean. It's what Kyle and I were discussing actually on an episode, the one episode that you were here when you were moving, Taylor, is that knowing the tone, knowing what it's like, knowing that it's kind of like a almost Firefly style, self-aware, slightly humorous universe, instead of resisting that and not enjoying it. What happens if I make a character that is very much kind of leaning into that and just let go of what I wanted it to be and embrace it for what it is? Would it be more enjoyable? So that's my current experiment with that. I'm very, very...
I think that's a good way to look at it, actually. It's a very advantageous way to play it.
Yeah, I want to just try it again. I like Obsidian, and the shooting is really good. The actual shooting mechanics feel great. I love the slow down time mechanic. I think that's great. And
yeah, you know me. I think I was a Outer Worlds truther from day one. I was like, I'm down for this. I loved it.
Yeah, so I'm excited that I made a guy who has bleach blonde highlighted hair, combed straight back, and he's got really high charm and handguns. So I'm just gonna make him like a sort of an over the top Malcolm Reynolds kind of a character who's good at convincing people to do things and makes people like him, and
it's a cool idea.
Shoots first and asks questions later, kind of a guy. So that'll be fun.
His name's Brad or something like that.
No, I don't even. I think I named him like Miles.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Which is funny because we have a write-in from Miles today.
Shout out.
Which maybe that was inside my conscious. I was just like, grab that name from there. Last one is I did start, and I am very early. It's actually on quick resume on my Series X right now because I was just playing it earlier after work.
Nice.
Which is KCD1.
Nice.
So just wanted to kind of just get my toes dipped. I'm currently trying to figure out how to get axe and hammer and some nails back from a dude that hasn't paid my character's dad for the labor of creating those.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to figure that out. I'm trying to kind of test how reactive the game is and how can I solve this in which ways, other than just punching the dude in the face, because that's the most video game way to do it. And I want to see, what's available. So I ended up stealing the axe, and now I'm like, well, I guess I'm stealing this stuff. So I'm like waiting for the guy to come out of his fucking house. And now I went and started sword fighting practice in the meantime.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's it. That's all I've done so far. So I'm extremely early. But I like it so far. I love the look of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a very pretty game.
The menus.
Hyper realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love the old medieval tapestry style art. Really, 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 really cool. I'm digging that big time. The era and the location is all super interesting. I feel like a lot of video games and movies haven't really covered the Holy Roman Empire. I think it's because it's incredibly complicated and convoluted to try and tell a story of that era. So I'm excited to see where that goes. And so, yeah, I'll have a lot more to say probably next week or later on as I actually dive into it. So.
It has begun.
Taylor, man, what are you playing?
Yeah, not a ton this week, honestly. Coming back from my Detroit trip, I haven't got to play a ton, but here and there, still trucking along with Bioshock. I think I had mentioned to you guys kind of where I'm at in the game. I get the sense, without actually knowing, I'm maybe at the halfway point or maybe slightly before that.
Can you tell
Um,
me the location that you're in? And do you want to know
yeah,
how far you are?
I would like to get a sense of how far I am.
Let's see.
Uh,
There's Arcadia. There's Hephaestus. I'd say Arcadia is probably your halfway. Oh, you said you were already past Sandra
I
Cohen, right?
no, I'm not past that part. I like just got there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're making your way through. I'd say once you finish that, you're probably like 50 to 60% of the way done. Would you
Okay.
agree with that, Kyle?
I honestly haven't played it in a while, so the
Okay.
time frame is a little kind of wishy washy for me right now.
I'd
But
I'd say
I'm gonna
you're
actually start that game this coming weekend. So
cool. Okay. Yeah, I'd say like reaching him is about the halfway point,
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna
or
say
so.
it felt like just based on vibes alone that I was like, it probably feels like I'm about halfway through. But that's cool. I think, like I said, there's probably going to be a day coming up here pretty soon where I'm just going to go on a tear of playing it for like 6 or 7 hours straight.
Yeah, you'll beat
And
it if you do that.
yeah, I was going to say I could see myself wrapping it up fairly soon, but excited to talk more about it. And then still playing my way through Metaphor. Silent Hill 2 is kind of that one game that I've been going back to sort of periodically. I don't know what it is about that game, but I can't seem to play it consistently. It kind of seems like my like want to play it kind of ebbs and flows. So I don't think I'm really that far away from finishing that one either, though. So one of these days I have to really crack down on it. But Metaphor's been going really, really well. I think I'm at like a little under 40 hours, so I'm probably about a third of the way through at the game if I had to guess. But there's a really cool section of the game I'm in right now where there's kind of like an election that's going on, and you're having to kind of influence people based on this like election. So like you're kind of doing some side quests and stuff for some people to gain favor with the townsfolk of this one region. So it's interesting. There's been some political intrigue kind of thrown in there with some dungeon crawling, turn based RPG goodness. So I've been having a really, really good time with that one still. So
that sounds fun.
that'll be, like I said, kind of probably what I play throughout the year, just kind of going back to it here and there. So it's still keeping my attention, and God, it's really, really well done. It's going to be difficult to say, I think, once I'm done with this, because I think Baldur's Gate 3 was my game of the year that year. And I think this came out the same year. And without having played it, I was like, it's probably going to be in the top five, but I'm interested to see where it all shakes out. If it'll end up taking the crown from Baldur's Gate 3 at some point. So
Damn.
we'll see. It's really fucking good.
You
so
finished
far,
Baldur's
so.
Gate as well?
I did, yeah.
Oh, man, that's one of the biggest
Yeah.
games on my backlog that I just
You know
I don't
what's
know.
keeping me from finishing that is that I bought it on PC,
Same.
and I
Yep.
just don't want to be at my desk for that.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, I
don't
will
wanna
say,
play that 100-hour
'cause
campaign on my desk.
Yeah.
I agreed with you. I started on PC as well. It does have cross save. So I did purchase it again at some point on PlayStation and
Nice.
played my same character from my PC save. So
Yeah, it's cool.
if you ever do make the switch to Xbox or PlayStation, you'll be able to move your character over.
How do you
That'd be great.
feel about Baldur's Gate on a controller? Because the reason I bought it on PC is because of the nature of the game itself. I thought would be more
Yeah.
enjoyable and better from playing as a PC.
I think it's a perfectly fine way to enjoy the game, honestly.
Damn, okay.
I kind of feel the same way that I know you and me in the past have talked about Diablo and kind of what a revelation that game was
Mm.
playing on controller.
Yeah.
and I kind of see them in similar lights.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
even though a CRPG is like, at home on a computer, I really don't think you lose a whole lot by playing it with a controller, and I don't really feel like you're hamstrung or limited at all. So
Okay.
I think it's perfectly fits right at home, honestly.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
I think when when I was flying over to like Taiwan and whatnot, I was like trying to figure out games that I could play on those super long flights. One of those was I was able to get Divinity Original Sin 2 onto my iPad, and I just took a little Xbox controller with me and attached it to it, and I was thoroughly impressed at how intuitive and easy the controls were on the controller. They really nailed it there. So I have 100% faith in the fact that Baldur's Gate 3 is able to translate over just as easily.
That's great.
Master craftsmen, those folks.
Larian. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. They know what they're doing. I feel like I also just have to be in the right place for that game. Like, it's so big and there's so many options and you're supposed to do kind of everything. And I love games like that. Those are often many of my top 10 games that we just went over are those. There's a lot of those on there. But I do need to really be in the right place mentally to be able to know it's like, oh, this is what I'm doing for a while. And I just have not been there with that game. Because there's even other games that are more in depth. They're still not quite as long as that is. That and Elden Ring, both. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, I played it for like 120 hours. I'm like,
Dude,
I don't.
Don't tell me.
I don't want to play either of these games for 120 hours. And not because I don't think they're worthy of it. I just, knowing that that's something that I could be doing is kind of.
When you think about your
I'd rather
backlog.
beat 4 to 5 to 6 games in that time.
Yeah.
But then I say that, but then once I know for a fact, once I play one of those and I do put the time in, I was like, what the fuck was I waiting for? That was so great. It's.
Oh, yeah.
endless-
Well, especially when it comes
endless
to
cycle.
Elden Ring, too, it's like you're going to put like 100+ hours into it just by virtue of like having fun exploring alone. Like it's just kind of one of those games that truly not since I've played like, Oblivion or Skyrim where I really had the itch to explore and be like, I'm just going to pick a direction and just walk in this direction. And I'll probably just, by virtue of how interesting the world is, find something to do and just get lost in it. You know what I mean? So it's one of those games where I couldn't say the same about Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate is deceptively long. I feel like once you start playing it, you're like, I don't see how this story could be that long, but it ends up being a pretty hefty, 40-hour game when all is said and done. But yeah, Elden Ring, just the hours melt away, man. Like you don't even know what's happening.
I kind of. Oh, go ahead, Kyle.
Oh no, sorry. I was just gonna say I feel like a pretty heavy burden to like have to interact and talk with every character, interact with every item. When I play games like what Larian Studios makes, like even Divinity Original Sin 2, I was doing that where but Baldur's Gate 3 like takes that to like a whole nother level where it's like there's so many things that I've interacted with in just the small amount of time that I've played that I didn't even realize would like turn into like a whole ordeal and like a huge dialogue piece. And I'm like, dude, it's like everything is like that. So it's when you, for me, like I want to like experience as many things as I possibly can because that's just like how my brain works. I want to like max it all out if I can, of course. So when I think of Baldur's Gate 3, it just kind of like feels overwhelming sometimes to think about it because I know what I'm going to have to do to get everything out of that game. As much as it sounds like it's going to be awesome, like I'm with you there, Ian, where I'm like, I don't think I'm mentally prepared yet to take on what I know I need to take on.
It's a really, really dense game. There's a lot of stuff jam-packed into what feels like small sections, but are really massive chapters of like story and world building.
Yeah. And that's what attracts me to it, right? It's this weird sort of dichotomy where it's what's keeping me from playing it and also the reason that I think about it all the time and want to play it.
Right.
brains are weird. I
Right.
don't know what it is about that, but yeah, there's Elden Ring. I was not. It's crazy because I bounced off of Elden Ring, not because I didn't like it. I loved it. I love FromSoft games. I love the way they look. I love the way they feel. I like the way they play. I like the way they sound, the music, the sound effects, everything about FromSoft. They are just absolute masters. And that's coming from someone who's not a get good guy. I've only ever beaten one of their games, but I just love everything about them. I just am usually not patient enough. I just get frustrated with myself, frustrated with not being able to get past and how close I get every time. And I know that's part of the process, but the problem I had with exploring it is just there's a really funny little animated cartoon out there. It's like a minute long, maybe not even that long. And it's just this little guy in some shitty armor, sort of South Park looking, and he's coming up into the main area there when you first enter the world, and you walk out, and it's this beautiful place, and the character's all amazed at what he's looking at, and then he walks in a direction, and then for the rest of the video, it's really quick cuts of him getting fucking annihilated by a different enemy.
Yeah.
It's like a hammer and like a sword cuts his head off. And the next one he gets like thrown into a microwave, turned the microwave on, and then kicked off a cliff. And like that's what happened to me. Is just like it's like, oh, explore over here. Like, well, I can't. I die when I go over there. I die when I go over there. I die when I go. I feel like I'm not making any progress, and I don't know how to use the systems. And I'm like, should I upgrade this sword? This sword probably sucks. I'm really early on in the game, so I'm not probably upgrading when I should be, or should I? I don't know. So I don't know. I just get way too in my head when I'm playing Elden Ring or playing any kind of FromSoft game. I was just like, I don't know. Maybe it's just a lack of self-faith or something. But I spent time, and it's beautiful and amazing, and it's an incredible game. And I just someday I want to just plow through it, but it's kind of like Baldur's Gate 3. It was like, that's such a commitment that I don't know that I'm ready for it. So
I can't recommend it enough, man. I think it's one of the best video games I've played in a long time.
I already agree with that. I like, totally get it.
Like, also one of those video games too that I felt like hit the same cultural phenomenon that I thought something like Skyrim did, where it was like people I did not expect at all to be interested in from software games were playing this game and getting like really, really into it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's one of those games that definitely deserves the time if you can sit down and pour it into it. But yeah,
it's a winter game. It's a winter game, so maybe this year
for sure.
It's also one of those games that you have to commit a lot of time to and stay consistent on it.
You lose your skills.
Yeah,
you will definitely.
You can't hop in and out of that game. Otherwise, you're just gonna end up quitting because you're like, I don't want to have to relearn all the mechanics again.
Yeah, it's tough. I will do it though someday. Let's jump into our topic, you guys. We have
Let's do it.
A very good topic. This topic came from Taylor. He had a list of a few good ones. We also made the decision that we're going to start pre-planning these things out a few weeks in advance so we can get you guys the prompts a little bit sooner. But thank you, Taylor, for getting that out today. And thank you to everyone who wrote in. We got 3 write-ins just from a last minute request, kind of. So that was
awesome.
Really great to see.
It was awesome, yeah.
Love that. So today we are going to talk about some of the games that disappointed us, let us down the most. So it doesn't necessarily mean you think the game is shit. It just means that you felt like it should have been one thing and maybe it turned out to be another. There's lots of different ways that a game can disappoint you, but I felt like this just had limitless options. There's so many games that I've been disappointed by in my life. So it's like, just pick a couple and chat about them. So really looking forward to hearing what you guys have chosen and what's on your list and kind of why and all that. We have some great write-ins as well. I'm actually going to go first because we have a write-in that matches up with one of mine. So I figured it'd be a good way to get some of our write-ins here a little bit earlier than usual. Yeah. So the first on my list, and the one that was written in from Craig's Gamer Room. Craig writes in, he says, easy answer for me will always be Breath of the Wild. That's Zelda, Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfectly fine 6.5 or 7 out of 10. Vast, empty open world that's mostly tedious to explore, terrible, quote unquote, dungeons, and the same mobs of enemies as far as the eyes can see. Great combat and bosses, though. I think the only reason it's so heavily praised is because it's a Zelda game. Or maybe I'm just bitter and miss the pre-Switch Zelda style of the series. Yeah. Breath of the Wild was like the first thing I thought of when you texted me this.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's definitely in the pantheon for sure. If I had to make like a list that extended to like 5 to 10, it would definitely be on there for me too.
It would be. So I was wondering, I couldn't really remember. I thought I remember you liking it quite a bit, but also not being one of the evangelists either. Is that an accurate representation? Or did you not actually enjoy it?
It was kind of weird. I think I remember talking about it on like an old episode of the show, but I had like a really weird arc with Breath of the Wild. Like I think when it came out, I had a lot of fun with it and really enjoyed Zelda in like an open world format. But it was just when you got down to the more like the way that I think a Zelda game should be, it was missing a lot of that DNA that I thought made Zelda special. So, like, the Divine Beasts, I think, were not as interesting, and they later kind of redid that in Tears of the Kingdom, which is the follow up to Breath of the Wild, where they actually made, like, specifically laid out, like, Fire Temple, Water Temple, and sort of designed them in a way where you could kind of stumble upon them sort of in the open world, and they were just there to explore. And I think that was kind of the main thing that I saw from myself and a lot of other Zelda fans on, you know, what they wanted to see changed from Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom. So, I mean, I pretty much agree with everything Craig said in his write-up. I think that once you explore the world the second time around, or you go through some of these areas the second time around, it kind of loses its novelty. And it ends up being one of those things where I think if it was called by any other name other than Legend of Zelda, I think it would be looked back on a lot more fondly than it really is. But the fact that it's a Zelda game comes with Zelda expectations, and people have preconceived notions of what they think a Zelda game should be and should have in it, and I just don't think it hits that same mark of quality.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, what's ironic about that is that's what I would have thought people would have said when I played it.
Mm-hmm.
But I got a Switch late in the game. I bought a Switch in 2019, I think. So a long time after it came out. 3 years, right? 2 years. 2017.
2017?
So 2 years after it came out, I picked one up. Almost for Breath of the Wild, because it got 10 after 10 after 10 after 10 after 10 in reviews. And it looked great. And I loved the idea. The funny thing about Breath of the Wild is that Craig and yourself were disappointed because of where it separated itself from kind of what is traditional Zelda. And for me, I love a lot of traditional Zelda. I grew up on Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and the originals for NES and all that. I grew up with all the original games, really enjoy them. I was excited for the idea. I wanted to see what this legendary development team of Nintendo, who makes Zelda games, would do with the idea of, okay, let's take on the Western open world RPG with Zelda and combine it. I was even more excited because it was going to be something different, and because of the reviews were so incredible. And I had friends who were just like, this is one of the greatest games I've ever played. It's one of the great games I've ever made. Like all of it. I just bought it. I bought it completely. And so my expectations were just through the roof when I went to play this game, which is potentially part of the problem. But I feel like there are two kind of buckets for me of things I don't like about Breath of the Wild, both of which are like full to the brim. I really don't like this game almost at all. Some are what I would consider objective criticisms. I just don't think are good design, and I don't know how anyone who is reviewing games didn't point some of that stuff out. And others is definitely subjective, where it's like not for me kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a super creative game player. If it's limited within kind of a set of rules, we're not going to get into it, but BioShock I find to be a really great way to let a player be creative within a set of rules and there's environmental and there's combos and there's these different things and you feel smart, but I'm not sitting here trying to figure out how the physics are going to work and like I can get the heat travels up from fire, and if I get on this, it'll fly me up here, and I can drop in this bomb into the bucket. The bucket will create a splash onto the enemy. The enemy will look bad, and the whole thing blows up. And it's like that's amazing that you can do all these things in Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. I don't want anything to do with that. That's like a subjective thing. If that's where I have to derive the fun from, like try really hard at like messing with. I was never the guy who was chopping at a tree on a game, seeing if I could chop it down one day. Did you have friends who were like that? Like,
Yeah.
For some reason, they would just keep doing it. It's like, no, that's not a thing in the game. You can't do that. Well, I'm just going to keep trying.
Yeah.
Like, I never got any sense of accomplishment from trying to do something I knew the game wouldn't let me do. So when it does let you do all this stuff, I get overwhelmed a little bit, I think. So that's like a subjective thing. But objectively, it just felt like a open world game from 2004. Empty, blank, quiet, boring, nothing going on, no one in the world except for enemies for the most part. And you're just running for hours, just across this endless, and then every now and then you're like, you need to eat and you can make food and stuff. I don't know. I just wasn't interested in anything it was trying to give me. And the stuff that I was there for, the open world, I didn't think the open world was that interesting. The dungeons, to your point, Craig, they were all exactly the same, just different variations on the same puzzle over and over and over again. It was like all the things I don't like about checklist games and none of the things I do like about checklist games.
Mm-hmm.
And it's maybe like the single most disappointing game I can think of, because I was so excited to become a Nintendo person again after all the Wii debacles. As not someone who wasn't like a big fan of the Wii, I was like, oh sweet, I'm gonna reunite with Nintendo, and it felt like that was like the final. Like, no, I guess I'm just not a Nintendo guy. I guess I just can't do this anymore. So
yeah.
That's actually,
I think
all of this is surprising. Sorry, Taylor. All of this is surprising for me to hear, because I've only ever heard great things about Breath of the Wild. I've never really, the last Zelda game I've played is Ocarina of Time, and I was such a young kid at the time.
Right.
But yeah, I'm really shocked by that, because like you guys were saying, like the ratings were all incredible, and everybody I've ever talked to has said it's a great game. So I'm surprised to hear all of this, actually.
You know what the best? Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Taylor.
Well, I was going to say, I think a lot of to be fair to that series, I think that the things that I think most people found really bad about Breath of the Wild, I think they did a complete 180 on in Tears of the Kingdom, and actually changed a lot about what I thought didn't work in Breath of the Wild, and ratcheted it up to an even better level in Tears of the Kingdom. Okay. So much so to the point where I kind of think like we should have just gotten Tears of the Kingdom, and that would have been end of story. Now, even with Tears of the Kingdom in general, it is still the same world. Like, it's still the same regions and a lot of the same things, but there's definitely more towns. There's a lot more life to the open world than there used to be. There's a lot more side quests, and I think that their creative gameplay mechanics in Tears of the Kingdom are a lot better realized than they are in Breath of the Wild as well. So I think that they did a better job, but still missing the mark of what I would like to have in a Zelda game that just wasn't there.
That's good. Someday I'll have to play Tears. Someday I'll get a Switch 2, years from now. And and I'll get Tears of the Kingdom for Switch 2, and maybe I'll try it out and give it a. Maybe it'll be a much better experience since I'll go in with a more level head.
Yeah, I think it's a better experience for sure. I think it's worth a try.
Kyle, if your favorite part of Oblivion is when your sword breaks, you'll love Breath of the Wild.
Dude.
Oh, dear.
Love it, dude.
That again was one of the worst parts of that game too.
Such a great design decision to make every single weapon about as powerful as a sword made of paper mache.
That is
Right.
insane.
Especially the end all be all god weapon sword too. You want to make that destructible also.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these ideas, it's like, what were you?
It's
What were you
so
thinking?
fun to add
Did you
an
play
incredibly
this?
tedious. Yeah, that is definitely one of those things where it's like, there's no way you played this for this many hours. You're like, you know what? We should have these weapons break more.
Yeah. All of them.
Which is what it felt like. It felt like they were playtesting, and every time someone playtested, they go, "Can my spear break more? I feel like it only breaks every 8 minutes. I'd like it to break every 4. That way,
and then it was like-
we'll really get people to try the weapons out that way. That is not the way to get me.
Well,
to
that's
try
what I was
it.
going to say. Like that was kind of their method behind the madness, is they wanted to get you used to using other weapons. But there had to have been a better way to do it than that.
Just make it fun. People will
Yeah.
experiment. Look at Tears of the Kingdom. I think what made me not want to play Tears of the Kingdom is not because I didn't think it was going to be good, but because I saw previews and they're like, look, I built an airplane that works physically in the world. I'm like, oh God, no, I do not want to play physic Legos and have to build these. I built a car that has hydraulics, and I was like, I don't want Minecraft. I'm not a Minecraft guy. I don't want Zelda Minecraft. I'm good. But I don't know how much of that stuff is required in the game. But that to me, it's just personally, I'm sure it's amazing. Just not, it's just not me. That's all. So
that makes sense.
No big deal. But I will give it a shot sometime, and maybe I'll end up really enjoying that aspect of it. You know, you got to try stuff, even if you don't think you'll like it. Taylor, let's go with your first disappointment.
Yeah, so I have a couple laid out here, and I was just trying to think of which one would be good to start with here. I think one of my most disappointing games that I can remember in recent memory, honestly, has to be the Callisto Protocol.
Oh, I can't wait to talk to you about that. Oh, fuck yeah!
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So, kind of like you said earlier, Ian, when I was kind of coming up with this topic, I wanted to say that, like, obviously, like, these are disappointing games. I don't think they're bad games. And I don't think that Callisto Protocol is a bad game. I just think it tried to separate itself a little bit too much from Dead Space, almost to its detriment. Because I think there were good parts of it, and there were definitely really good areas of the game that I thought were really, really well realized, and I thought that the story itself kind of lended. It had a really cool narrative, I thought. Like, when I ended the game, I didn't think that by any means was it a bad story, or did I dislike my time with it. But I think one of the glaring things for me was just that I thought the emphasis on melee combat was kind of weird. It always makes the game inherently less scary, I think, whenever you're doing melee combat, and especially in like a sci-fi world where, like, I know there's like battle rifles or some kind of weapon out there that's not like a bat, you know, like an aluminum bat to beat zombies over the head with. Like, when I know there's other weapons in this universe that exist outside of what I'm using, it tended to take me out of it a little bit more. And it was just kind of one of those moments in Callisto Protocol where I thought Glenn Schofield and the team, I was like, I just got this weird sense that, like, he didn't want to make a game so much like Dead Space that it was going to be compared to it. But I almost thought he did it a disservice by going in the exact opposite extreme other direction. So not only do I think it's kind of a disappointing game from that aspect of it too, I think that just the fact that it kind of came and went and there wasn't really a whole lot of fanfare about the game also says a lot for how disappointing it was too. It definitely was a game I think that should have had a sequel. And by no means did they do themselves any favors by making a game like that with a massive budget to where, what was it? I think it sold like 8 million copies or something, and it didn't even break even, or
Let's
like
take a
just
look.
barely broke even.
I see
Like
where
whenever you make a game in that, like made with that kind of constraint, like you're kind of destined to fail.
I see
You know
what
I
you're
mean?
saying about the adding too much fighting, because I feel like when you're playing like a monster horror type game, I think part of that fear is recognizing the physical superiority that thing has over you, right?
Yeah,
And
100%.
when you can, impose yourself physically on them and with ease, you kind of start to push towards, well, I'm not really scared of these things anymore, which is a big part of like the game and the story. So I can see where you're coming from for that.
Yeah, it felt like I would go into certain sections of the game where I'm like, man, this atmosphere is really creepy. The way that they've designed this level is like amazing. But then you get into like an encounter with one of the weird like alien guys, and you're just fucking bing, bing, beating him over the head with a aluminum baseball bat that it like kind of takes me out of it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's sold. They've never confirmed the exact copies sold, but it's between 6 and 7 million copies, which is spectacular
Yeah.
for a science fiction horror game.
Yeah, like by what metric is that not
Dude, like Dead Space?
I can't even see how that's possible.
Dead Space remake didn't get greenlit. The sequel, the Dead Space 2 remake, didn't get greenlit by EA because it sold somewhere around 5 million, which is also insanely high. What do these people want?
Yeah, dude, I don't
I
know.
think the budget matters, though.
The budget matters, well, especially
and I think that was their
Callisto
Protocol. That was their downfall, was that they definitely gave Glenn a little bit too much leash, and he went a little crazy, and probably didn't help that they spent so much money on it that 8 million copies didn't at least make some profit.
This gets more interesting. I misread this. 5 million is what EA wanted Dead Space Remake to sell. Apparently, it sold an estimated 2 million.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would expect even 5, because I was saying it sold 5? That's amazing.
Yeah.
You're right.
It sold 2, which is also good. I mean, it's amazing, these people who are in charge of these companies. Have they looked? Did they look at what these kinds of games sell? Why would you make a game that is XYZ, and XYZ is always sold around this amount, and be like, well, I need you to sell double?
Yeah.
Well, where is that audience coming from? Whatever. It's crazy. I fucking love the Callisto Protocol, man. But I love it in the same way that I love anything that I would consider. It's like I kind of love it in spite of itself, you know?
Yeah.
I understand. I agree with a lot of the things you say about it. I think some of that, again, I do think expectations do play a very large role in this entire conversation that we're having about these games, because I knew that it was disappointing when it came out. I didn't get it immediately because of that, and it had lots of technical problems. So I played it a few months after it came out, and I was thinking, this game's going to not be good. Apparently, this game sucks. I played it. I'm like, this game's fucking awesome. Yeah. I just loved it. I loved it. Felt very mid 2000s science fiction action horror film starring Vin Diesel or something like Pitch Black, or just these sort of Pandorum. I don't know. These movies that are very clearly inspired by the greats of the genre, but don't really have anything new to say. Yeah. But they're comfortable with the fact that they don't have anything new to say, and they're just like, look, we know you really liked this, so you'll probably like this, even though it's kind of, we're wearing on our sleeves a little bit. It's not super inspirational or innovative, and I just loved it for that reason. I just love that game. But yeah, it's very flawed, very overly simple, but it's just beautiful. I love the environments. It's creepy. Just the atmosphere is very creepy. The idea of being on this prison, Hey, takes place in the PUBG universe, bro.
Yeah. Dude, I remember. You know what's funny is I remember us talking about that like right when it came out. I think didn't we have a conversation and we were just dying laughing thinking
Dude.
about that.
Crafton's like, dude, this has to take place in PUBG's universe, though.
Yeah, like wasn't that one of the stipulations that like we will not make it unless it's in the PUBG universe?
Glenn Schofield's like, all right,
Sure.
what is the PUBG universe, anyways? It doesn't even have a universe. It has no story or anything. There's nothing. There's nothing to that game.
Right.
Oh, so good. So good. That's one of my favorite memories of that game is us watching that E3 and being like, it shares the universe of PUBG. We're like, wait, what?
What?
How?
How is that even possible?
Is it in the future of PUBG?
Yeah, we were like, how is it in any way connected to this weird ass game that like you, me, Kevin, and Mason played in our spare time, crashing our fucking Jeep into buildings and blowing each other up?
Dude, I'm just saying, it's like 500 years after the events of PUBG, man. It's Callisto
That's
Protocol.
crazy.
So good. That's a great pick. Anytime I see a video on YouTube about it, I watch it. I just feel like that game just vanished. It just came out and vanished. No one ever talks about it. So when you said that, I just got really excited.
It's
that game.
That's part of the reason why. Like I said, it's not a bad game. In fact, I think it's a good game. I think you should play it if you're a Dead Space fan. But it just came and went, and it sucks. And
it didn't really make its own mark. It just kind of just sort of rehashed stuff and added melee. I thought the melee was cool. It was fun. It was brutal. But I wasn't going, wow, what an incredible addition.
What an innovation. Yeah.
It was fun, though. I like doing the dodge thing and just the impact of it feels kind of like Last of Us. Like it's that really good sound design and the impact and the animation and stuff of them like hitting. It's brutal. It feels good. It looks cool. That is very much like a popcorn game for me.
For sure.
You just play it because it looks cool and sounds cool and it's creepy. Good pick, man. Kyle, what's your first disappointment?
Yeah, I mean, these are not really in any particular order. It'd be hard for me to rank. But I guess my first one, since we've already talked about it, is definitely Dragon Age Veilguard. What can we really say about it other than, for me personally, I've always loved going back and playing the Dragon Age games. I think that even the older games, Dragon Age Origins, all of them are still, playable to this day. The characters are really cool. The style of combat is still playable. I still enjoy playing it to this day, even if the graphics are a little bit on the weaker end. I love everything about that series, and I even think Dragon Age Inquisition. Whereas the story may be slightly lacking at times, I really enjoyed the RPG side of things, and the ability to kind of like control the outer world map and like making decisions politically that kind of like make some changes within the story. And I remember specifically when I started figuring out about Veilguard, getting close to being done, I was like, shoot, I'm going to, start playing through the Dragon Age games again. And then, there's talks about in the beginning when it was, what was it? What was the name of it again? Instead of Dragon Age Veilguard, what was the name of it?
Dreadwolf.
Yeah,
Dreadwolf. Originally, when it was named Dreadwolf, I was like, fuck yes. Like, we're going to do some more Solus. Let's get into it. I think he's an incredible character, one of the more interesting characters I've ever experienced in gaming in general. So I just remember being so hyped and ready to go and playing through a lot of the Dragon Age games again, and really enjoying it, and was fully prepared for like a continuation of it. And so to then find out that this game is like almost kind of a standalone. I mean, sure, there's like a slight continuation of the story, but the feel and look of the game, the addition of a lot of characters that you could, from what I understand, which mind you, I haven't played it yet, but I had to put it on here just because of it's clear in the reviews that this game is not going to be what I wanted it to be and what most of us wanted it to be. And so yeah, I think that one's kind of an easy pick for me because it is kind of a recency bias. It is something that kind of recently let me down, and something that I think is Dragon Age is like a part of my childhood. I put it up there with like kind of like Bethesda games or Mass Effect games, and those sort of games is like that's what I think about when I think of my childhood. And so very disappointing to find that they changed so much about this game, and it's hardly recognizable. And not only that, you not only changed it, but it's like, from what I understand, characters are just so bad. The new characters, that is. Thank God they left some of the OGs in there. Otherwise, I couldn't imagine how bad it would really be.
Yeah, I'll keep you up to date on how that's going. The new cast of characters.
Yeah.
There's one character that's returning from Inquisition that had limited lines. I feel like plays a much more major role, and she's terrible. It's the same voice actress, and
is it
so it's kind of
the dwarf lady?
Yeah, Harding.
Okay, yes, yeah.
She's perfectly fine in Inquisition, but her role was so limited, right? She was sort of she was the scout for the Inquisition.
Yeah.
And she would every area you'd enter, she would be the first person to talk to, and she'd kind of give you the lowdown of this region before you explored it. And she was a good character, and people were mad that you couldn't romance her and stuff because you could flirt with her.
Nah.
But you couldn't ever actually romance. She was funny and kind of sarcastic and just but a very small minor role. And she's in this one, and I was playing it the other day, and Alicia was hanging out with me up there, and she was like, "Man, she's awful." Like, yeah, it's amazing. It's the same actress, but boy. And then there's a new character that is quite a bit better than her, and they're interacting again. It's back to that jelly bean metaphor, allegory, whatever. It's just like it's like overload. Like, oh shit, that's good. Oh, pretty good. Oh god. Oh, it's like the whole time I'm playing it, it's like that. It's weird, man. It's really weird.
Tough. I wanted that game to be great.
I know, man.
Or at least pretty good.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's mine. I don't have much to say about it. I think we all know. Everybody knows the drama on it. So at least if you're playing games, if you're a gamer, you know what happened.
Definitely. My second one I share with Kyle, and we got another write-in. Now, Miles wrote in. He gave us 3 games. So one of these 3 games is the second game on my list, and as well as Kyle. So I figured we'd tackle that now. We could both get this one done. So let me just read the whole email from Miles, and then we'll go into it. Miles says, "Hey, TSG. Hope y'all are doing well. Won't get too into the weeds, but these ones jumped out to me in no particular order. Number 1 was Fire Emblem Fates. Story-wise, it wasn't what I wanted as a follow-up to Awakening. The gameplay is actually pretty good, but overall as a narrative, I was left really off-put and overall not really into it. Second one is Starfield. I didn't really know what to expect, but it was not what I thought Starfield would be. It felt like everything good about Bethesda was missing and all the bad stuck around. Genuinely disappointing in ways I couldn't articulate without sounding like a madman. 3 is Avowed. I remember the original trailer getting me super hyped up, and after the release kept falling away, I kept losing interest. I got intrigued again when the second round of marketing finally came up, but the cracks were starting to show, and I knew that I wasn't going to like it. I waited to play it to see what people said, and all of my worst fears were true. I never played it, and I don't think I will, which is a shame because I was very into the world and concept from Pillars of Eternity. Honorable mentions Halo. Yeah, I know you felt the same way because you played Pillars. He has an honorable mention, which is Halo 4. In its defense, it had a really hard legacy to live up to, and at the end of the day, was just not what I personally wanted for a Halo 3 sequel. In hindsight, it really isn't that bad, and the story was interesting. I just wish you didn't need to spend so much time dealing with outside lore sources to understand it all. Yeah, poorly told story with a pretty interesting concept. And they also make you fight the fucking Prometheans, and they suck. They suck to fight. They're so much less fun to shoot than the Covenant. So the gameplay is like half and half. But Halo 4 is definitely a little underrated because it's so hated. It's actually okay. Halo 5 is probably the real gameplay's good, but my God,
Yeah, I can't imagine trying to develop a sequel to Halo 3. Like,
yeah, it's a tough act to follow.
The crazy thing though is that I don't feel like they failed from a gameplay perspective. Like, it's different and it's too modernized and it doesn't have that core Halo feeling. But it's not a bad game. I for me, if the story had been good, I would have liked Halo 4.
yeah.
Like, if the story had made sense and it was more fun, I feel like I felt the same way after watching the Star Wars Disney sequels. It's like, I felt like if you gave me some money and like a month to write a detailed synopsis, not a script, but a detailed synopsis for a 3-part story to be a sequel to Halo 3 or a sequel to Episode 6 Star Wars, I could definitely do that better than either of these did, which is just insane.
Right.
Yeah.
To me, that's the case. I feel very confident in that. And that's not even because I think I'm some great writer. That's just how awful these decisions were by these people. So it's just crazy. But the one that he listed that's on my list, it's also on Kyle's list, is Starfield. I had Starfield on there. That's like the first game I thought of. Which is ironic because I feel like I end up defending Starfield more than I talk about what I don't like about it, even though it's very disappointing.
Yeah.
Right? Do you feel that way, Kyle?
No, I do feel like you defend it a lot more than I do. That's for sure. You and I have had talks, and you would defend it with me just alone in the conversations. And you do make good points. Not to say they're not good points, you know.
Sure.
But for me, I'm definitely more on the like, no, this is pretty bad.
Yeah.
This is pretty bad to me. I want you to start off though.
I think the story is terrible. I think a lot of the writing is awful. Not all of it, but a lot of it is really bad. The exploration is terrible. There is no exploration really at all.
That's the killer for me.
That's the number one killer. That's what made it. It's not designed well. The loading screens, all the stuff. It's been hashed over quite a bit. It's not a great game. I just think the reason I end up defending it, and not necessarily when I talk to you, Kyle, but just when I hear or read things about it on the internet, people talk about it like it's the worst game that's ever been made. And I was like, it's not that bad. It's a decent shooter. I love the ship building components. I think that's super fun. I love the different role plays that are available. It's crazy. They have great setups for things. The stories have really good setups, and then it's just the individual like character writing that's so awful. But the ideas, the concepts, it's kind of like what I was talking about with Halo 4. It's like the fact that you can go undercover and take down the Crimson Fleet from within. Great idea. Just awful execution. The characters are so bad, right? And we'll get into that. But like the idea of the super creature, I can't remember what they're called, that they're like murderous aliens, and you end up working for the...
Or is it like a necromorph?
The UAC. Well, necromorph is the name of the creatures in Dead Space, but yes, it's like that. Yes, it's something just like that.
Yeah,
it's really close to that. But again, really cool idea. It's added a little bit of a horror vibe. There's another one where you're time traveling in the same area between two different states, parallel universe stuff. I mean, there's a bunch of really good ideas in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I played all the way through all the stories because there was enough for me to be like, oh, okay. And it just always let me down at the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, there was always like, in almost everything I did in that game, there was a lot left to desire. You know, like, I'm like, man, you almost got there. And, you know, when I remember us being so hyped about this game. Dude, we made sweaters, or, you know, Riley made sweaters for it. And
Riley
it was like
sweaters for
because
us,
we were talking about this game so much before it even came out. Like, I think what I have to give them kudos for, and Bethesda's always been great about this. The music's on point. It's fantastic. the design and look of the game,
Art, really good artwork.
You nailed it.
What do they call that style? Like NASA punk or something?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
That looks cool. I like that too.
It was the style of game that I didn't know I always wanted. And when I finally saw it, it was like, if this hits, I mean, I'm going to be stuck on this game for a while. Because just the thought of space exploration on my own, ship, that part alone was, which, by the way, was their biggest selling point, which frustrates me because you knew that the game was not built well enough for that type of player to want to play that game, But everything just absolutely felt empty. And what's sad about it is that regardless of how I felt about it, I put in at least 80 hours, if not more, into this game.
Yeah, I played a lot.
Because I wanted...
That's my point. It's not trash. If it was just trash, you would just have put it down in a few hours.
I mean,
got a hook.
The shooting's fun, and I wanted to see what else was in the game. There's certain things that you have to level up in order to start experiencing them, especially like base building and stuff. I thought it would be cool to have this like kind of like intergalactic, like, all these different like space hubs that you have that are trading resources amongst each other, because that's really what they're trying to make it seem like. But it ended up being incredibly simple, but yet complicated at the same time, because you had to have the right buildings on different planets, it's not really explained very well. And so I had to Google a lot of it. And then it just became this very complex thing where I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm just not going to base build, which was frustrating because I spent many hours leveling that skill to try to get to the higher tier items, and then found out there just wasn't anything really there. So it's stuff like that where it's like I had to put in the hours to find out how disappointing the game was, And I wanted...
There was never a reason to settle and make a base. Why?
No.
What does it do for you other than just the fact that you can do it?
In fact, it is actually counterintuitive to like the actual storyline, right? Like,
completely.
Yeah, I mean, the character that you're playing wouldn't be somebody who wants to like stay at home. The whole point is that you're supposed to be this explorer who's always on the move, like some sort of nomad. They've been trying
to do that with like the last several different Bethesda games, and I've thought in every single iteration that they've done of it that I'm like, what is the point? Like,
yeah,
I mean, I guess that there's kind of an appeal to it, I guess, if you're like, I think of like the Elder Scrolls Online or something where you like have like a little house home base thing that you want to decorate and do stuff with, which is cool. But it serves a little bit more of a function in those games because you can like invite other people to your house and like show it off and see how cool it is. But like Fallout 4, I just never really understood what the point of it was in there, and like Starfield and Fallout 76. Like, why are we adding so many different little house base building mechanics in these games? It just really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
And it's Bethesda, so it's janky, doesn't really work the way you want it to.
Nope.
The only one I liked of that was Hearthstone, because it was pretty in Skyrim, because it was pretty streamlined.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was you could just have it decorated, and it would, you didn't have to do, and then you could change whatever little individual parts you wanted at that point and really detail if you wanted it, make it very detail oriented. But
one small
pet
peeve that I can't get over the fact that the like cool, unique, mysterious part of this story is obviously the Starborn, right? We couldn't come up with a better name. I mean, it's a bit too close to Dragonborn. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Starborn. And just the dialogue, when you first meet the dialogue, they're like, hey, you stop.
Yeah.
It's like the dialogue was so bad. You know what I thought of? Do you guys remember that moment when you first see the ship and they're like, please stop running, stop chasing us.
Yeah.
Knock it off.
Yeah.
I was like, that is when the game truly was like, oh, this is bad. The story,
really bad.
Because I immediately go back, and you brought this up, Kyle, when we discussed top 10 games, and it's always been something I've always brought up as well, is that moment when you first speak to a Reaper.
Yeah.
And how perfectly that is written and performed, and the timing and the pacing and when it's brought to you and what it does to the story and the stakes and everything. It just, it's like the whole world opens up and you realize this game is not what you thought it was, and you're almost at the end of the first game and you're like, I just barely dipped my toe into this whole universe until right now.
Yeah.
And it was revelatory. That scene is revelatory, and I'll never forget the first time I played that and spoke to what's the name of that Reaper again? I can't believe I can't remember.
Oh my gosh.
We'll remember in a second. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of that's my bar for something like that, because I was genuinely interested in what was going on for a while. And then when you found out, spoilers for Starfield, when you find out that it's versions of you from other parallel universes, which is somewhat interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, just the dialogue, and then they're flying around their stupid ships, and they're just New Game Plus guys running around, and I don't know. It just was
And
I think the idea is good, but the execution on their introduction and how it was so bland, and it was written so poorly.
it's the reason why I bring up the correlation to the name Dragonborn, because it really feels like to me that this was headed in a really good direction, and then somebody from above was like, no, like, we need to put like Dragonborn like Skyrim, but like in space. Like, you need to make that happen. Like, we need to create this, like, these starborn people who, as you interact with them and you run into these like ancient relics, they for some reason make you magical, which throws the entire storyline for a loop, because the whole point,
it's so semi-grounded feeling.
Yeah, it's like this whole universe is very grounded in reality and like science, and you get that feel of it, the look of it, with being the NASA look, you know. That's what I'm expecting through this whole game. And then suddenly I'm able to, like, which it's not even explained. You're just touching relics. It's never explained.
Mm-mm.
Like, even when you finally meet the Starborn, you're like, great, I'm going to learn why I'm becoming this powerful person, right? As I get to know these people more. No, we're not even going to talk about it. In fact, there's going to be moments where you're going to feel like I'm actually more intelligent than these people. They're actually pretty dumb.
Just keep slaughtering them over and over again as they wait for you in the same spots.
Yeah.
It's like guys, remember when everyone complained about going into the Oblivion Gates over and over? What if we just made that even more repetitive, less interesting, and less impactful, and then did it more times?
Yeah. Right. Way more times. And then when you enter your alternate universe, you got to do it again.
Yeah, I never even did that.
Yeah, no, dude, it's just like, my thing is like, you know, stick with the theme and run with it. There's no need for magic in this. You can take the approach of scientifically explaining what happened when you went through this like wormhole, you know. Like, there are actual theories out there that you could actually utilize and make it really cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
By the way, it was Sovereign.
Sovereign, thank you.
Yeah.
Even if it ended up being alien technology you were discovering, the idea that you could play as, maybe you would have played, your character is the first human to ever come into contact with alien technology. That's the story right there.
Yep.
Right.
You don't even have to go any further. The idea, I remember when they were talking about this game, they're like, oh, we want you to you're an explorer. You belong to this group that's dedicated to the exploration of the universe. And it kind of, and you find these relics or whatever. And I was like, oh, sweet. And even if it just meant you learned more and more and more about this alien race or, you know, civilization or whatever that existed, and that was the whole game, was you discovering more about them, not just going to the same copied and pasted area that they put on all of their copied and pasted planets. I'm the other big disappointment. I remember flying out to the farthest possible star system from where you start, as far out as you could go, all the way out, and then like the last planet furthest out orbit of that system, the most remote place you could go. still had ships flying in the sky, had the same little oil rig built into the ground. It was the biggest. It was the biggest fuck you. I'm not exploring anything. Every single planet has already been found, surveyed, and settled in some way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So disappointing. So,
yeah. A big dud. I put in a lot of hours in that game, and there are things that I really enjoy about it. I do agree with you, but overall, I look back on it and I'm like, you should have done better, Bethesda.
There's so much more they should have done.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think I'll go ahead and just add Starfield as my number 2 as well.
Oh, really?
It was like, yeah, because I mean, as you guys were kind of talking about it, I was sort of thinking about all the things that I was disappointed with, and like I pretty much echo everything you guys said. I didn't get nearly as far as you guys did, because I think that I think I agree with you, Ian. I think that there's a lot of hyperbole around how bad Starfield is, and it's not great. I think it's worse, and it's just so incredibly boring. Like, I think the amount of time that I put into it, I think I was just left with the disappointment of just like, I can't believe I'm having like I'm not having like a good enough time exploring this game as I thought I would, and I was just like so incredibly bored that it was just a crime unto itself. And I think it's a sign of really bad things to come. Like I don't even know if I want to see like an Elder Scrolls 6. Like if it's made by this Bethesda, I'm really worried about how it's going to be. It's kind of just seemed like a small melting of what makes those games good, and I think it's been too long now, and too much anticipation. I don't think there's any universe where it could possibly be good.
And they haven't, they haven't really delivered since Skyrim, right? Like fully
not
delivered.
Really.
You know,
I liked Fallout 4 quite a bit actually, but
Fallout 4 is good.
I get what people did.
It's okay.
Like it was the first divisive. It was the first. It was the first. I think it's like
it was the first little domino.
Yeah.
I think of sign of things to come.
It's like a really good. I think it's 8. I mean, I think it's very good. It's a very good game, especially some of the DLC, Far Harbor and all that.
For sure.
It was good. Fallout 4 is better than Starfield in like almost every way.
But,
dude.
But it has major narrative design issues, which is I think always been Bethesda's hardest or like most challenging thing. Because Skyrim wasn't that great of a narrative either.
Well,
no.
I think one thing I could say about Fallout 4 is that I'm generally kind of not really a big Fallout fan. I think it's probably my least favorite series that they have going. But it was the thing that like at least helped me get into it enough to be in on the conversation.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's got major issues, but nothing like Starfield.
Well,
I mean that was their last good game.
Even the basics really of base building, gun customization, even just lo and behold, the number one thing that you thought you were going to get with Starfield is exploration, right? It's better in Fallout 4.
Oh, way better. But I think that's because of the fact that there's all these planets in Starfield. And all the loading screens separating them, and then nothing on the planet's worth looking at.
Yeah.
Just by its nature, I think Elder Scrolls 6 will be at least marginally better because you will be assuming you will be in one large area that is no loading screens, other than maybe when you go into a city or whatever. But
you would hope.
Right.
You would hope. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they do. But that for me is just going to help them. It's going to force them to design it in at least a slightly more interesting way because you're not going to be doing that.
I'm almost of the thought that it was like, hey man, I like that. It's cool that you had the idea to like create all these planets, but just give me like 12 good ones, you know?
Mm-hmm. Or 6.
6, something.
4.
I mean,
nothing is good. That's all.
As long as they were
boring.
dense and packed with shit to do and handcrafted, then be all for it.
And then you could give me some of those empty planets. It makes it a little more realistic. Most planets are not habitable.
Yeah.
So you could have a few of those, and that makes that would be cool. You could land, and maybe you just put a couple of really interesting things, hidden mines or whatever, kind of like they have on some of those, and then that would have made those more interesting instead of having the science labs and the mines 5,000 times on every single planet. Those would have been a one individual thing on each little kind of remote planet that would have been cool and interesting because it would have been the only time you did it. And they could have put more interesting story stuff in there, and they could have put better loot and all that. But instead, it's just copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste all the way through.
Yeah.
So it just loses any. You just see that you're playing a game. You just feel you're never losing yourself in it because of all these loading screens and all the same rehashed, reused assets over and over. It's just like, yeah, definitely a big disappointment. Okay, well, I know that was your number 2, Taylor, but what's your number 3 then? Because it is your turn to talk about one.
Yeah, sure. So there were a couple of ones I had on my list here that I think I've probably talked about before in some capacity, but there is one game that I found to be pretty disappointing that I don't think I have talked about on the show before, and that has to be Rage 2.
Oh, man. That's a great choice. Rage 1 I felt that way about. But yeah, please continue. Yeah. I want to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, so I kind of came to the game a little bit late on Rage. I never played the first one. I've never even seen what it looks like, to be honest with you. So I have no experience with the first one, but I specifically remember the E3 where we got the first little look at Rage 2, and I remember really, really liking those trailers and kind of liking what it was showing me here. I almost liked how it was kind of like a post-apocalyptic, like Mad Max style shooter game. At the time, I think they were advertising as it was developed by id Software, but it really wasn't. I think they were maybe like a support studio on it, and it was really made by like Avalanche.
Yep.
I want to say.
Yep, that's correct.
And I just remember thinking it looked really cool in a Mad Max style. There was a bunch of colorful like paint and stuff thrown on it, so I kind of liked that it was a little bit more of that desert post-apocalyptic theme, but with a little bit more of a color splash and
world gone mad kind of a
right. Yeah, and I also liked the like vehicular combat, and I was like, well, okay, it's id, so like we're gonna get really, really good shooting. And I think what I got was just a universe I really was not all that interested in. And not only that, but I don't think the gameplay was all it was cracked up to be as well. I remember it just kind of seemed like a really paint by numbers first person shooter, almost like a Ubisoft open world checklist style game where you're like liberating camps or like blowing camps up and like checking different things off the map with like little like raider camps or whatever. And I just remember I got sick of it really, really fast. Pretty much it has to be one of the best trailers even to this day that I've still seen for a video game. I can't remember off the top of my head a game that I was instantly shot up on an anticipated list of like games coming out that year that I saw more than Rage 2. I think they just did such a phenomenal job selling that game and that trailer to somebody like me who never had been interested in the series previously or really even knew what they were getting themselves into. And I think that the id Software marketing definitely did a lot of heavy lifting. I remember right around that time being super into Doom 2016.
God, that game is so
and so I was like, yeah, if the gameplay is anything like Doom 2016, I'm probably going to have a really, really good time with it. But yeah, just characters were super forgettable. I couldn't even remember, honestly, any of the characters from it. I probably, at the grand scheme of things, probably put like a little less than 10 hours into it on the whole. So that was definitely one of those games I can remember in recent memory where I kind of gave it the old college try. I was like, I really liked the marketing for this. I'm liking what I'm seeing. And then as soon as I got to the actual product itself, I found out it just wasn't for me. So yeah, Rage 2 is definitely one of the ones I could think of that just purely disappointed me.
This game really went under the radar for me. When you said Rage 2, I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? Now I'm looking at it.
Rage
the lady
1
on
being
the
really disappointing.
Yeah. It looks so cool aesthetically, though. I do.
It does.
I do see
and
what you're
that's the
saying.
crazy thing about it.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love that weird, like almost like armor made out of like animal hides and like metals, like scraps of metal, with like these weird guns that are almost like Gears of War looking, with just like that splash of like pink and blue, like neon color. Like I just thought it looked really, really cool and pleasing to the eye, and just absolutely fell flat in
Dang.
almost every measure, you know.
A lot of cool stuff you can do with a universe like that. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just very by the numbers. Nothing unusual or different. It just I fell off it really quickly as well. The first Rage was like one of those games where it got really hyped up and then it ended up just being kind of a tech demo for the 360.
Yeah.
Short, very uninteresting, hardly any kind of story. It's just like, look at these graphics.
Right.
It's just one of those games,
Ugh.
Very, very shallow and just nothing I ever really cared about. It would be kind of fun to go back and maybe play some of those games now.
Apparently, still
Just to
$40.
see.
What? Which is crazy.
Where?
What?
On Steam, $39.99.
Holy
Oh.
shit, man. I mean, if you're not going to sell any, you might as well ask for more money.
Yeah,
Some poor sucker
that
will buy
is
it.
insane to me. The Deluxe edition is still $60.
Wow.
Ain't no way, dude. You could probably find that on Green Man Gaming or something for like $5.
That's
Probably.
so crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm going to read our last write-in, and then I'm going to throw it to you, Kyle, for your last game. If you have another one, do you have one more?
Yeah,
If not, it's okay.
I'll do a quick one.
Okay, cool. And then I have one final one, and we'll call it there. So, Lord of the Cream he wrote us. He literally wrote on parchment paper with quill and ink.
With quill and cream.
With quill and cream. And then he stamped it with the red wax, but it wasn't red, it was white for cream.
With cream.
With cream wax.
Oh my gosh.
I received it in the mail today via owl. Cream Lord said, I may be too late, but Black Ops. I loved Call of Duty in the early days. Call of Duty 1, 2, Modern Warfare were peak. The wheels started to fall off with Modern Warfare 2, and by Black Ops, they had become the mass market corporate factory that it is still today, in my opinion. I know a lot of people like Black Ops, and the campaign is good. I'll give it that. But the multiplayer was a complete letdown for me from a PC player's perspective, and I was done.
Yeah.
I
Very
fell
sad.
off of Call of Duty at some point. I feel like Black Ops may have been the reason, but I was never really into the multiplayer. I don't know. I just got tired of playing a Call of Duty game every year. So
Yeah.
I think saying that it all fell off during Modern Warfare 2 is a hot take for sure. That's a great game in my opinion.
That was like the last. Wasn't that like kind of considered the last great
Isn't that the,
Call of Duty?
Isn't that when they brought out zombies? Modern Warfare 2?
No, that was with World at War. Was the first zombies.
Okay. But Modern Warfare 2 is the game I think of when you think about Call of Duty Zombies. So, like, that's when I feel like it really became absolutely mainstream.
World at War came out after Modern Warfare 2, I think.
Okay.
But I'm not
I know
sure.
World at War was the first
Okay.
time that
Well, then
zombies had ever made
Then I guess I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
But
first Call of Duty featured zombies was Call of Duty World at War, released in 2008.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Interesting.
Well, I
But
take it back.
yeah, Modern Warfare 2, I think, was maybe the last. I mean, I've played a couple more since then, but that was like the last one that I played. I was like, this, what great games these are. Because that was the one with the airport, the controversial airport terrorist shooting.
Oh, that's right.
And it was the one, I think your character gets shot at the end of it and dies, if I remember correctly. And it's been a long time since I played it, but
you play as multiple characters in each Modern Warfare.
That was a big deal.
yeah, that came out. Oh, when did the original one come out? You fools!
I actually really stopped playing after Call of Duty 2. I think that was the pinnacle because that was like I was playing a lot of Halo and Call of Duty 2 and would go back and forth playing with friends and stuff. And man, the Call of Duty was really good back then.
Kyle, you were not wrong.
Nice.
Because this game came out in 2009, which is a year after World at War.
Oh, okay.
But you guys are both right. Because Taylor said that World at War was the first one, which was right, but that came out in 2008. And then Modern Warfare 2 came out in 2009. So it probably did have, it was probably like the second one.
Yeah.
To have zombies in it. So
I just
neither of you were wrong.
People invited me to play zombies. Everybody always wanted to play zombies. I just remember it being Modern Warfare 2 all the time. But I could be wrong. Yeah. Honestly, they're all
not.
Kind of a blur.
There's so
point.
many.
Yeah,
for sure. But I just thought that was interesting, just looking at when they came out. But yeah, I think Call of Duty is too much of a good thing. I don't think it's the best shooter either. I don't think it feels that great.
No.
There's so many shooters that just feel really good when you fire a gun.
It was probably top of its class at the time it came out. Like I think in that
early on,
Modern Warfare Pocket, I think it was probably the best at the time for what it was going for.
Sure.
I think Halo was also kind of there, but obviously they're different kinds of shooters. But
right.
Yeah, if we're talking first person shooters since then, there's been much better ones that have outclassed it by far.
I've touched in kind of like Madden. I'm kind of like, I'll play this Call of Duty and see, and I'm always like, it feels the same as it did 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah. At least it's on Game Pass. Hello, Madden.
I know, right? It does come out on Game Pass eventually, but once the other one is coming out.
No, I want that day one release. That's the number one step. I'm gonna go on a little side note. You want to win me over? Get on Game Pass, Madden.
Right? Yeah, well, I'll play it then, right as it comes out. Sure.
Right.
You can keep your microtransactions. Let those people buy it up. But give me Game
those
Pass.
Monthly active users up.
Yeah.
Yep, that's all that matters anymore, apparently. Kyle, what's your last one, man?
My last one is... See, this one's kind of weird because I also waited a long time to play this game. But I'm just thinking strictly because I want to preface this by saying I do really like this game now. But
Cool.
We're talking about when it released and how much of a disappointment it was. And it's hard for me to really compare anything to the letdown of Mass Effect 3.
That did not go where I thought it was going to go, actually.
I thought you were going Cyberpunk.
I thought you were too.
Yeah. Cyberpunk, I
Which
feel
I wouldn't have faulted you for.
Yeah, that one's low-hanging fruit, and I do really love that game as well. But that one felt more like I still trusted CD Projekt Red, and for me, it felt like I think you could kind of like read the tea leaves and like you understood that they just were forced to shove this game out, and it's not really indicative of like the developers and like the way that they're able to like actually develop a game if they're given the proper time. So for me, it was like Cyberpunk was a disappointment, but I knew eventually it was going to be great. So I was like, I'm we'll just have to wait longer. I'm not going to buy it now.
Yep. Yet another example of stop announcing your games too early.
Yeah.
Why did you announce this thing in 2017 or whatever the fuck it was, 16 or stop. Like just don't show it to me until it's getting close.
To me, it's got to be Mass Effect 3, and if I had to rank it, probably Mass Effect 3 would be number one. For me, it's obviously Mass Effect is like one of the most beloved, if not, well, I got to give that to The Last of Us, but pretty darn close. It's pretty far up there in video game series and franchises, and especially after Mass Effect 2, which is such a phenomenal game. I think the hopes were pretty high at the time, and I think that does play into it. But ultimately, I think the biggest thing was just the endings that you were kind of like forced into. It was such a bad move, and I actually didn't even play Mass Effect 3 because of it, because I started hearing about all of it way before I even decided to touch the game. And so it left a really bad taste in my mouth. And something that it took me a long time to get over. In fact, it wasn't until the what's the name of the remastered versions that they've come out with now?
Legendary Edition.
The Legendary Edition. When we
Mhm.
got Legendary Edition and played, I don't know if you remember me telling you, that was the first time I ever played Mass Effect 3, actually.
Oh, okay.
So
didn't
I
remember
waited
that, yeah.
until Legendary Edition to actually, because I had played Mass Effect 3 a little bit in the past, but I never actually finished it. But I just remember, having so much hype around it. Mass Effect 2 is a very special game to me, of course, and obviously Mass Effect 1 as well. It's in my top 10, but I just remember spending so much time on that game as a child, and I had such high hopes. Everything was supposed to wrap up in the trilogy, and to find out that you were given 2 really shitty endings to choose from after all the decisions you made.
I thought that, but if you didn't finish it, then how would you have been disappointed by the ending?
Because I've had friends who beat it, and they told
They
me,
just told you about it, and that made you not want to keep
Yeah,
going. Okay,
because-
because I fucking loved the game all the way up and to the end the first time I played it,
Yeah.
and then I was disappointed by the ending.
that's what it was.
Oh,
A lot of
okay.
people were already talking about it, which normally I would be like, hey, shut up about spoilers, but I feel like everybody was so passionate about it who had played it at that point where they felt like,
Gotcha.
I have to spoil this for you. Like, this is really bad.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes a ton of sense.
Which is why I
Yeah.
stayed away from it.
And your opinion on the ending has changed, or your opinion about the game overall has changed, despite the fact you still feel the same way.
I do like the extra ending that they added. It makes it feel a little better. But I do, when you think about it in the whole package of how you can, go back to back to back with these 3 games, and they're all, one long story that makes sense and really wraps up in a place that does make sense for you. Especially with the added third option for the ending. It is, I don't think of Mass Effect 3 on its own, I guess is the way I'm saying it anymore. I think of Mass Effect
I see.
as like one whole big game now.
Sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I think it's a great choice, like a really good choice, because it adds some depth to what we were picking and why.
Yeah.
Because it is a great game, and I loved every second of it until the end. I remember being very upset about the ending the first time I played it.
Yeah.
I just felt like it was too sudden, and it didn't make a lot of sense. There wasn't a lot of closure. I didn't get to see what happened to the galaxy really very much afterwards. Like, it was just, I just felt like I was playing it. This is a huge admission, and it will be fixed one day, but I have never seen The Sopranos.
Oh, wow.
Me neither.
I don't think I've finished it either. So yeah.
I have heard of the ending.
I mean, it's one of the great series of all time, like, no doubt. And I will watch all The Sopranos one. I mean, that's, for me, is like, if you're a movie / television person like that, you got to watch that show, right?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's like the Baldur's Gate 3 kind of thing. It's like, oh boy, it's a lot of seasons,
Yeah.
But yeah, the ending, the famous ending where it just cuts to black,
Mhm.
with not really a lot of closure. That's kind of what Mass Effect 3 was. It was just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, that's it? That's how it ends? That's how I've put all these years in 3 games, and that's how you're going to end it?
Especially with the
like,
context of like not having the DLC of getting to hang out with everybody beforehand.
Right. Oh, that's like still my favorite DLC of any game, probably.
It's
ever.
incredible, but
feel like-
imagine playing the game without that in there.
I don't
and
have
then
to. I did.
I know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, to me, it's
Yeah.
like that is also really important, is that DLC specifically, but then also adding the extra ending. I think those 2 things are so crucial, and it should have been in the base game. And
Yep.
without it, I just can't. The game is like, it really ruins it. It ruins the entire trilogy if you don't have those things added.
Yeah, Mass Effect is one of those series where I feel like I actually benefited from getting into it way later than
Yeah.
when it actually came out.
Absolutely. Mass Effect 3 is 100% better in the version that you played that had all the deal. You wouldn't even know what was DLC and what wasn't. And that's the way it always should have been. This was
Yeah.
very much in the era of big chunks of DLC that you could tell were made during production of the primary game and then taken out and sold to you separately. Do you remember when that was like a thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
day one DLC.
I think
all
of
that.
I think of Destiny when I think of that, because I feel like that was when the era started, is when Destiny came out, and they came out with this like it was so awesome, you know, and I remember being so hyped about that game, but then you realize they like gave you a very small package and then would later drop a DLC that was the same price as the game.
Shit, they gave me a small package.
I've been cursed.
But
Your
like,
destiny is to have a small package.
it created that was kind of around that era, whereas like all these games started doing that, where they're like, we're going to give you 75% of the game and make you pay double for the extra 25.
Yep. Yeah. Crazy, man. That actually, just because we're pretty much out of time here, I'm just going to, my last game is very much tied to that complaint. And it's a game I've never played before. So we all had very different kinds of games on these. We had a couple that we haven't even played, a couple we played a ton of and liked, but still were disappointed in, kind of all over the place, which is cool. I was very curious to see what would come out of this topic. My last one is Shadows of War, which is the sequel to Shadows of Mordor.
Oh.
And that game came out, and there was two things that I had a huge issue with it. Primarily the fact that they put loot crates in a single player action game, and you could not progress through the game without either grinding for dozens and dozens and dozens of hours or purchasing experience with real money.
That's insane.
I remember that. Yeah.
And it ruined the whole game. Though, because it was just like Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2. The entire game.
I almost said that on my list.
Yeah.
The whole game from the beginning foundations was built with this in mind. So even after the massive backlash, they took it out, just like they did with Star Wars Battlefront. They're like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I didn't know that would guys be so mad about this."
Right.
Just did my dog Chip. That's his voice.
I thought that
I really
was
got
Chip.
so mad about that thing, guys. God. But just removing it doesn't fix it, because the whole game was built with, like, the design was built with that in mind. So now you're just left with this endless, awful, horrible grind. And that's not what the game was ever about. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I remember before anyone knew that, when the game was being teased or shown, previewed or whatever, there's trailers and stuff like that. It's funny. I'm a big Tolkien dork, not to the point where I know everything encyclopedic like our friend Tim is very, 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 very knowledgeable, extremely knowledgeable about all of Tolkien's lore. I'm not quite there. I haven't read every single book or anything, but I've read Hobbit, read Lord of the Rings, read some of the appendices, and I'm okay with people taking some creative liberty or license as long as it's still kind of respectful to the feeling of it. So in the first game, that's not a story that Tolkien ever told, right? But it uses a bunch of stuff from the universe in a really creative way that didn't feel like it was something that wouldn't be possible to be there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it didn't feel like fan fiction.
Right. If you told me that Tolkien had written this, I'd have bought it. And he didn't. And I'm okay with the fact that he didn't, and they made it up. The plot of the first game. That's cool. I think that was a really cool idea, and they were very respectful, and they just kind of put their own, like, what if this also happened before Fellowship of the Ring, you know? That was cool, and I liked it. The second game goes so far. They just start changing all kinds of stuff, and it just doesn't. Though I remember the thing that made me was like, I don't think I can play this was when Shelob the spider could turn into a sexy goth woman.
What?
In this game.
I remember hearing about
and she's
this,
involved in the story. She's like fucking Shelob, and then and she's got like a bra, like a black bra, and like
She's
heavy
got
black eye
lingerie.
make, like lingerie and like long black hair, and she's like, I will help you destroy him. I'm like, what the what?
Get
and I was
back
just
in
done.
your
I was
cave.
like, fuck you guys, man. Like, no way did you just do that. Like, it's just it's just like, It would be the same as like if you had like a hobbit come in with like dual swords and just started annihilating orcs like it would just like it's so you're taking something so obviously wrong and misunderstanding what anything is. Like it's just it doesn't feel like the respectful made up stuff. It feels like I don't give a shit about any of this. I don't care about Tolkien. I don't care about Lord of the Rings. I don't care what you think about this.
Yeah,
we're going to do whatever
like
we want
with effective expanded universe really well.
Yeah, so there's ways to do it and there's ways not to. The first Shadow of War game is fucking awesome. It's one of the best early Xbox One, PS4 games out there. It's so good. I haven't played it in a long time. That would be a really good experience point. That game is so fun.
I was going to say that game I've tried several times to get into, and every time I've tried, I just can't do it.
Off.
So, yeah, maybe an experience point would help though, because like I said, I think I have tried to play it 2 to 3 times. I just can't do it for some reason.
It's like it plays like Batman, the Batman games, the Rocksteady Batman games, but just more brutal. More brutal. And then of course they have the whole Nemesis system, which is really unique and different. And it's stealth and action and exploration and check.
Yeah, it's not that it's bad. It's just I don't know. There's something about it. Every time I've tried to pick it up, I just hasn't been the right time, or I just haven't been into it.
Hey, you might just not like it. It's possible, but
it's true.
Yeah, Shadows of War. I don't know. I mean, I think even by the end of it, you're raising this giant army of enslaved orcs and destroying Sauron's army from within, and it's like, but this takes place before Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Yeah,
defeated the whole purpose of the.
So what? It's like an alternate universe now, or it's they went a bridge too far with the plot, and then on top of that, they added in microtransactions, and the game was literally pay to win single player.
Yeah,
so I have never played it, and I never will
to win when I bought the game.
Right? Yeah.
At least when it comes to single
I'll never
player.
touch it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I would have said, by the way, I would have said Mass Effect on Andromeda as well with that Mass Effect 3.
Oh, yeah.
The only difference is
that one I felt was low-hanging fruit.
I didn't even care about that game. To me, in my opinion, Mass Effect is done. The story's over.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. The story's over, and the only idea that they could have come up with that would have worked for that storyline of Andromeda, they missed. They didn't do it. There was one thing. There was really only one path they could have chosen to explain why this game existed, and they missed it. So it's like, okay, no thanks. This is terrible.
Hey, look on the bright side, guys. At least BioWare will try to make a live service game out of it, and then pivot at the last minute.
Yeah.
And then try to make it a single player game.
Now they're just making Mass Effect 4 apparently, and just as a single player game from the ground up, and I am not looking forward to that.
No, I don't get it. Like, let it go. Mass Effect's done.
It's been done. I don't even really want to play the fourth one.
That's why I'm like, Andromeda sucking just didn't matter to me.
No, it had no effect on Mass Effect.
Yeah.
You can't raise the stakes any higher. That's the problem with Mass Effect. The entire galaxy being, and the threat of all life being extinguished throughout the entire galaxy by a mechanical ancient super race is about as high stakes as you can make any story.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything else. I mean, unless you want to do some sort of even older superior race that comes to end the Reapers.
So stupid. Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Otherwise it's just like some dude with a fleet. Like, I think we can take care of that.
Yeah. What did I picture? Like Skeletor.
Well, that's what any villain is going to feel like after facing the Reapers.
Yeah,
I'm going to take over this planet. Okay.
All right.
Well, I understand that BioWare's in a crappy spot right now, so they have to ride on the coattails of Mass Effect right now.
They got to figure out something. Yeah, they already ruined their other big franchise with Veilguard, apparently. So now they got to go ruin Mass Effect. One last stab into the heart.
Yeah, you can't ruin that trilogy to me. It's always
No,
gonna
you
be
can't
there.
ruin
Yeah.
it. No, but it just sucks. It will still suck
It's,
that they.
it's
Yeah,
that meme.
yeah.
I picture it as that meme of the Grim Reaper like knock on the door and he like
Yes,
kills the
with
and then
the
he goes
blood
to the
trail.
next door. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a great visual for it. That's definitely what's happening. It's nuts, man. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But all right, guys. Any final thoughts before we say bon voyage until next week?
No, nothing here. Another great week. Another great episode in the books.
Yeah, this is surprisingly really fun for me. You know, I think this kind of happens a lot, but you know, I'm sitting here thinking about, you know, which games are we going to talk about, and then as soon as we start talking, it's like it's just so much fun to kind of delve into these games and get into the thought process of it. Even if it's a game that's disappointing to us, brings me back. You know, even if it was a horrible time in my gaming life, which I don't know how dramatic that is, but I still look back on that fondly, even those like big disappointments of games. It's just, you know, what a cool experience it was overall, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I always sometimes I think about a topic. I'm like, I don't know if I'm able to come up with something, and then I'm like, oh shit, we're over 2 hours.
When it hits you,
Yeah, we always have to pump the brakes. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I got to start picking up the pace. You know, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, Jesus, we're like 144, and we all have a game left. So it's fun, but it's a great time. Hopefully, all of you listening felt the same way and enjoyed it. Thank you again for all of the fantastic write-ins. Never get tired of that. We'll keep it coming. We'll try and get a little better about being in advance for you, so you can have some more time to write in. So next week, keep your eyes peeled to our Discord. We will post our next topic, and we'll keep you updated on what's going on with BioShock as we close in on that next experience point. But until then, I hope you all have a wonderful and safe weekend, and we'll catch you next weekend. Later.
See you guys. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.